everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Obsessed with Pickleball podcast. I'm Jane. I'm obsessed with pickleball, and we have a ton to talk about today. I wasn't planning on filming a podcast this week because I just got back from an amazing trip to Costa Rica last night. But when Ben Johns enters the chat, and you have a weekend with probably the most consequential matches we've seen yet leading into the playoffs, of course I had to come on here and chat a little bit about what went down this weekend. Of course, this weekend, the weekend with the most intense matches, I was out of the country and couldn't watch anything live, but I did catch up. I was following along as much as I could, but I have to say I was enjoying my trip and not as obsessed with pickleball as I usually am while in Costa Rica. Now, if you've come to this podcast to check in on my duper journey, as a lot of you are, I would suggest that you check out my last week's podcast where I interviewed the CEO of Duper about all things Duper and the new algorithm. And it's honestly inspired me to give Duper more of a chance and try to play in some more tournaments. What I did learn from him, though, that I think I need to point out to everyone so that they know this. If you restart your Duper, okay, so you're like, I don't like my number, I'm going to start over. They will find you and they will merge your Dupers. And if you do it again, they will kick you off the platform. So I was considering starting over, but I can't. And imagine if you got kicked off the platform and you're trying to play a tournament and they're like, okay, what's your Duper? You're actually kicked off the platform. You can't play that tournament. So it's a good episode. Go check it out. Okay, this weekend, we're in Dallas. Dallas is the home team. This weekend was very much a battle of the top teams, okay? You have the St. Louis Shock, the Dallas Flash, the New Jersey Hard Eights, and the Mad Drops, and the Texas Ranchers. And then you also have the Hustlers, the Flames, and the Hogs, and the Hard Eights. Now, those four teams are not in playoff contention right now, so they've also, some of them, given up their players. The Hogs have basically, I don't even know the players on their team. They've pretty much just pieced out. I mean, the Hard Eights are still playing really well and battling and in it. I can appreciate that. And I don't know what the Flames are doing. In theory, they could still be in playoff contention based on their talent, but Jack Sock he's like the gift that didn't end up working out. You know how he's the prophet or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically, we were all promised the promise of Jack Sock and what he was going to do to the sport and how he's going to be the next Ben Johns. And that did not play out, to say the least. Understatement. That didn't work out that way. Okay, so next week, I'm going to do a big end of the season recap. I'm going to try to get some fun guests who also have opinions on that, because next week is going to be more of the mid-tier teams who are fighting for that playoff spot. You have the Utah Black Diamonds, Chicago Slice, Orlando Squeeze, Miami Pickleball Club. Who else? Ranchers, who are all in it. But those are kind of the mid-tier teams, and we'll see what happens there. So let's hop right into this weekend. So Ben Johns is playing with the Mad Drops for the first time. How is this going to shake things up? Going into the season, we have a lot of discourse about, are the Mad Drops going to be a super team? And I think they are, but I think that we have other super teams that already exist. The Flash, the Shock, and the Fives are all super teams, if you ask my opinion. And I think Columbus has the potential to be a super team. And same with Brooklyn. We don't really know what's going on with Brooklyn because we didn't have Deckel for a while, so we don't actually know their power. But the point is, yes, the Mad Drops just got a lot better. But it's not like they're a team of Ben Johns, Annalie Waters, Anna Bright, and I don't know, Gabe Tardio or something like that. It's fine. They'll be okay. So that's what we're coming into. And as a Mad Drops fan, it's clear that the team is very different, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in a bit, but it is definitely now the Ben Johns show. I'm going to talk about what that means and all the other teams and how that's going, but that's what we're coming in with. Now, off the bat, they beat the Hustlers, I think, easily, and then they play the Shock. And this is a big test for them. Now, I knew that the Shock were going to win this match because it was the first time that the Mad Drops were playing together. And I didn't think they would like have it down that they could just walk in and beat the number one team. Like that would be crazy. I think it's also like they're clearly getting their chemistry together. I mean, like Hunter and Ben need to figure out how they're going to work together. Catherine and Ben are still not totally jiving. And at this point, we start out the match with one of the greatest women's doubles games in history. Anna Bright, Kate Fahey versus Catherine Printive, Jade Kawamoto. Kate and Anna win 16-14. It was crazy, but I think that loss kind of trickled into the rest of the matches, giving the Shock a lot of momentum and taking away all the momentum from the Mad Drops. And I mean, that was a game that could have gone either way, but I will say Catherine does have a tendency not to be able to close out games. So I wasn't super surprised while I was watching the end that Anna and Kate were able to like pull it out over Catherine and Jade. If the Mad Drops play the Shock again in the playoffs, if I were the Mad Drops and I got to choose, which I don't think they'll ever get to choose because the Shock will always get to choose because that's how the home team thing works, which is like crazy, I would put Ben and Catherine against Anna Bright and Hayden Patrick-Quinn because I would be worried if I were them that I would lose both genders and I would want to give myself a chance to win both mixed because I think Anna and Kate can beat anyone at any time, and I don't see Hayden and Gabe losing much. I mean, they are so good and playing so well together. I mean, ultimately, if Big H keeps playing how he's playing, he's like the engine running the ship right now more than Anna. They're really unstoppable. I mean, him and men's and him and mix, I mean, it's crazy. Like, he's playing top of his game. So that's what I would do if I were the Mad Drops. Okay, they turn around, and the Mad Drops then later in the day beat the Ranchers 4-0. The Ranchers are not peaking. Is that a nice way to say it? Like, they're not peaking right now. They have some issues that they need to figure out. And obviously, they were coming into this weekend with their big trade just happening. They traded Etta for Caitlin Christian, and it was a big test to see how she would do. And she played well, but there needs to be more growth there leading into the playoffs because, yes, it's great to pad your Dream Breaker lineup, but you have to get to a Dream Breaker. So there's that. Then the Mad Drops play the Fives, and that goes to a Dream Breaker. So this is the first time, and we kind of saw it, but this is the first time it's very clear that this is the Ben Johns show. It was Ben Johns versus Annalie Waters. Ben took his matches, Annalie took his matches. And when you're watching, you're like, okay, this is the new makeup. The girls lost. Catherine and Jade lost. And I think in general, Catherine and Jade weren't playing their best this weekend. But then Ben and Hunter won. Not surprising against Will and Noe. And then Ben and Catherine lost. And Jade and Hunter were able to win. So, okay, I think I'm getting a little mixed up with that. But the point is, I think the Mad Drops are going to face a lot of Dream Breakers, just like the Fives are going to face a lot of Dream Breakers. So after that intense match, we go to a Dream Breaker. And it's 2020 in the finals, the most insane back and forths, crazy. The crowd is going wild. Like, it's one of the loudest crowds you've heard. And it's not even the home team. And it's 2020. Annalie gets up against Catherine and wins. And that was kind of inevitable. I mean, Catherine's not going to win a significant amount of points against Annalie. So again, if I'm the Mad Drops and I have the option moving in anytime in the playoffs, I would switch Jade and Catherine. I would put Jade against Annalie. I think Jade has just as much of a chance of stealing some points from Annalie as Catherine does, but Catherine has more of a chance of beating Megan Dizon in Dreambreaker points, playing like traditional singles. Then we have Dallas beating the Ranchers in a Dreambreaker pretty badly, and J-Dub and Augie lose their men's doubles game. They have been taking a lot of losses. That is a weakness that needs to be addressed in the Flash. J-Dub and Augie need to start winning some games. We move on to Sunday, and the Fives go 4-0 over the Ranchers. And then the Mad Drops beat Dallas in a Dream Breaker. So we had a lot of Dream Breakers this weekend, and it's clear that going into the playoffs, you need a team that can win a Dream Breaker. I mean, we saw not at this tournament, the last one, we saw St. Louis beating Dallas in a Dream Breaker, Fives beating Dallas in a Dream Breaker, Shock beating Mad Drops in a Dream Breaker, Fives beating Mad Drops in a Dream Breaker. It's all going to come down to Dream Breakers in the playoffs. So if you don't have a strong Dream Breaker team, I'm concerned for you. So, okay, so that's kind of the breakdown of those top matches. There were a few other kind of upsets. Jack Sock and Alex Walker did beat Anna Bright and Hayden Patrick Quinn, which is a good sign for a lot of other mixed teams that they are beatable, because I think they're going to the playoffs very confident. Hayden should be confident in any match he goes into, but that is a good sign for other teams. And then Blaine Havenier and Ryan Fu beat J-Dub and Augie on the Flash. J-Dub and Augie are taking too many losses. That leaves the question for the Flash. Is this why they brought Roscoe Bellamy on? I mean, do they want him in case the Dream Breaker issue is too big? If Augie's not delivering in Dream Breakers, I mean, Augie's not a singles player, and Roscoe's a very good singles player. That being said, you can't really put Roscoe in and expect him and Tyra to be able to win. And how does that mess up they can't win because Tyra would have to play right, which is like a huge switch from what she's been doing all season. And that could just be an issue. Even though I will say Roscoe's very, very good at mixed. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they like tried him out, but like if J-Dub and Augie aren't winning anyway, is that worth it? But I just don't think anyone in the Flash mob or anyone on the Flash wants Augie to not play. I mean, I think I'd rather see the Flash lose than see Augie on the bench, if you ask me. That's kind of a brief summary of what went down. You can go back and watch these matches. It's crazy. St. Louis goes undefeated. Dallas takes 2 losses. Mad Drops can't get it done against the Fives or the Shock, but do beat Dallas. So they're here to mess things up, but they're not here to necessarily be the favorites in every matchup they do. Okay, takeaways. St. Louis is peaking at the right time. They have a well-rounded team, like you see on a lot of the other top squads, Columbus, Dallas. Big H is playing out of his mind. He has the potential to win everything that he does right now. And on top of that, their strong Dream Breaker team. I'm not saying that they're on paper the best, but having Kate Fahey as your number 1 woman makes a difference. So Hayden and Gabe are good mixed players. They're not like good singles players. They're not singles specialists, but they can go 2-2, or they can run up some scores and some people. And then Kate's incredible. She's probably one of the only people who can grab some points off of Anna Lee. So, and Anna Bright is a great number 4, like very strong. I would not be upset to have her as my number 4 Dream Breaker team. And then on top of that, they have amazing chemistry and amazing energy. Like they have the will to win, and they clearly all really like each other. They get along well. They're the team to beat for the finals. They're peaking at the right time, right? Because at the same time, Dallas is sinking, right? Like they're not peaking at the right time. As I mentioned, J-Dub and Augie aren't winning. And it's an issue. They need to get that together. And then they have a big Dream Breaker problem. They are not going to beat the Fives or the Mad Drops in a Dream Breaker, if you ask me. I don't think they'll beat the Shock in a Dream Breaker. And they didn't beat Columbus in a Dream Breaker before. I don't know if they're going to beat Columbus. Now, could they beat all of these teams? Yes, potentially, but they wouldn't be the favorite for me in any of these. J-Dub, even if J-Dub runs up all his points, okay? Augie's not going to run up all his points. Georgia could have an amazing day and get a bunch. We saw it in the last year's final. She had to go 8-3 or something crazy against Anna Lee to keep them in it for them to win that Dream Breaker that pushed them to a third match. And Tyra's an amazing singles player, but she's not, it's just, they don't have any singles stars unless somehow J-Dub wows us and the rest of them do really well. I mean, Tyra she could win all of hers as the number 4 woman, but I think they're facing some really, really, really scary singles teams who have players that will win all of theirs. Look at the Mad Drops. Even if you just say Hunter and Ben will win every point or almost every point, and then you have Catherine and Jade who are solid, or you look at Columbus, Andre is the number one, CJ is the number two, hello, could win everything. And then Paris and Leia are both insanely top singles players. Like when Leia Jansen is your fourth singles player, that's scary. On the fives, you have Anna Lee, and then you have Will, who can win a bunch, and Megan Zahn, who's playing well. No, he's playing well, but Anna Lee, you always want to worry about them in a Dream Breaker. Again, makes you think about Roscoe, doesn't it? Who knows? So if they take Roscoe, are they just going to hope that Georgia wins both of hers? But it's tough. The problem is that not having, luckily they've held on to their number 2 seed. So here's the deal. They've held on to their number 2 seed. So when they go into the playoffs, they'll be on opposite sides of the bracket as the Shock. They will essentially be the top seed in every matchup that they do. And if it's the same way that it worked last year, they will get to control the mixed pairings every time. So they can make sure that Georgia and Jada play the best teams every time, and they don't put themselves in a situation to go into the Dream Breaker. That's what I would do if I were them. I would assume Tyra and Georgia are going to win. Hopefully J-Dub and Augie, but it's not guaranteed. And then I give my mixed matchups the best chance. J-Dub and Georgia can beat any mixed team. And Augie and Tyra are really strong second team. So that's what I would do. So luckily they still have that. But if I were them, unlike some other teams, unlike maybe the fives or the Mad Drops, I'm avoiding a Dream Breaker at all cost. Okay, Megan Dizon playing very well. It makes you wonder if they brought in Mari Humberg to do some kind of psychological warfare on Megan. So it's not as much like, oh, we brought her in a sub. It's more like we brought her in to like put some fire under Megan, and it worked. She's like, no one's taking my spot. I'm playing very, very well. Obviously, she's playing with Annalise, so she's getting all the balls, but she's hitting the ball hard. She's firing. She's being aggressive. She's not making that many errors, okay? Like usually I would say with her, like, yes, she's got a lot of firepower. She can put the ball away. She can be aggressive, but she's prone to errors. Nope, she's playing very well. And she's solid at singles. I mean, her and Noe, they've just started playing together, so it's tough. But with that team, if the women can win and Annalie can win with Will, then they're going to a Dream Breaker, and they're a really solid Dream Breaker team. So good job, Megan. Mad Drops. Okay. They're a completely different team. Everything's different about them. Their chemistry, their energy, everything. You bring Ben Johns into the mix and everything changes. It's like any dish you cook, if you add like the most potent flavor, it's going to change everything, right? So he comes in and their team has to adjust. They definitely don't have the energy, the chemistry, the team spirit that they used to, based on my observations through the Pickleball TV app on my phone. Again, I'm in Costa Rica, guys, so I'm doing my best. But let's look at it this way. Jade and Catherine no longer have like the weight of the team on their shoulders, right? Like Ben John's here, they don't have to thrive. Where before they were one of the top women's team, now they're losing. That could just be a bad weekend, and hopefully like they get back their mojo going into the playoffs. I mean, they can assume they're going to lose to Annalie and Megan. That's fine, but they need to beat Anna and Kate. They need to beat Anna and Kate. They need to beat Paris and Leia. They need to beat Rachel and Jackie. Like those are wins they have to get. Okay. Now, Ben starts playing with Hunter. Ben is playing mixed double style with Hunter more than he is with Catherine. He is going over and taking so much of the court. It's insane. Hunter doesn't know what to do, and it feels almost uncomfortable even through the TV. I'm like, eek. Like all Hunter's doing is hitting forehand dinks, and Ben is coming over and taking his forehand dinks. Like I've never seen that in a men's doubles match to this extent. He didn't do it with Colin. He's not doing it now. He didn't do it with Matt Wright. Like I've been watching Ben for a while. I've never seen anything like this. Now, Ben doesn't trust Hunter clearly, and maybe he'll grow to trust Hunter. But I think Ben's coming onto this team being like, I'm fucking over this shit. I want to win MLP. Like, I don't want to be on a losing team. I want to win. I'm going to come in and I'm going to impose my will on these opponents, and I'm going to remind everyone that I'm the number one man in the world. And I don't blame him for doing that. I just don't know if it's the best strategy. I don't know if you can beat Hayden Patrick and Gabe Tardio, like completely cutting your partner out and making him feel uncomfortable, which leads him to making errors. It's just weird vibes. I wish I had a better way to describe like what I was observing besides weird vibes, but I think weird vibes might just be exactly what it is. Catherine and Ben don't have great chemistry together. They never have. They have played together throughout the years. Someone put out a chart, like maybe 10 times, and they've never won. I remember specifically, since I've been watching closely, that they played, even the announcers got this wrong. Dave Fleming got this wrong. He was saying that they played in like nationals or the US Open or something against, I think it was nationals a few years ago against Riley and Anna Lee, and it went to 5 games. No. They played against Riley and Anna Lee and got stomped in 3 games, like 11-5, 11-2, like 11, something crazy. It was like embarrassing and alarming, obviously, especially for Catherine, because she's like, okay, Anna Lee beats me with Ben and Riley, but a little bit for Ben too, because I remember specifically Anna Lee was blowing him up. She was attacking his back, like his backhand, like his left shoulder over and over again. And it was like, oh, damn. So she plays with him a lot and she knows his weaknesses and she just exploited them. And he had no rebuttal for her. So that was a crazy match to watch, actually. If you can find it, go back and find it. Then they played again. I think Anna Lee was out or something, and so she played with Catherine, and they lost to Julian Arnold and Mary Brasha in the round of 16. And they just they were off. Catherine was missing everything. I think Ben's a really hard player to play with. You're stacking up against Anna Lee. He takes everything. Like, he lacks vibes, which is his playing style. Like, you chose to play with him. If you need somebody like to pump you up, Ben Johns ain't it. But they lost. So when I found out they were playing together, I was like, yeah, on paper, this should be an insane mixed doubles team, but their chemistry is not there yet. And Hunter and Jade are still great number 2 mixed team, but if I'm Hunter, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm feeling off. I'm not feeling like empowered like I was when I played with Q. I don't feel like an equal. I feel like I'm playing backup to Ben Johns, which sucks. That being said, Hunter is the number 1 singles player in the world, and he is proving why over and over again. He is going up first in the Dream Breaker, which hopefully gives him some motivation. I hope that they can get it together, but as a fan watching it, I'm like, I loved the Mad Drops because they were kind of like the scrappy underdogs, and they had so much chemistry and excitement. And now I'm like, okay, is my team just like the Ben Johns show? Like, are we just going to win if Ben Johns gets his matches and then everyone plays singles well? Like, that's so boring. I'm not into it. But we'll see what happens in the playoffs. The point of that is that Ben Johns' presence on the Mad Drops is very much mixing things up and is changing not really the playoffs look by the bracket or the seeding, but like where this is going to go. It's kind of hard to imagine that the Mad Drops aren't going to make it to the semifinals, but we'll see. I'll push this into my like end of the season recap episode, but if you're the Shock and you get to choose between the Fives or the Mad Drops as your opponent, who are you choosing? Who are you choosing? Very interesting. Okay, the Ranchers. I talked about this a little bit, but they're definitely struggling. Caitlin Christian played well, but not great. Her and Tina just don't feel like an intimidating women's doubles partnership anymore the way Tina and Etta did. It's great to improve your singles lineup. I think the Ranchers had to do it. Like, there was no way they were going to win 3 games, so they had to do something about singles. So I don't disagree with the strategy. It's just like Christian and Caitlin need to win, and I don't know if they can. Tina and Eric Onsens need to win against some other number 2 teams. I don't know if people are going to let them play the number 2 team. I just don't know. Okay? I don't know how they're going to get it done. Christian and Eric can beat any team, so they just have to steal one more game and go to the Dream Breaker. So they're not out of it, guys. All you have to do in the playoffs is steal 2 games. And then you go to a Dream Breaker, and then all bets are off. So that's a little recap of what we can take away from this last weekend. There's a big shuffle going into the playoffs. Fives and the Shock are peaking. The Flash need to regroup, and the Mad Drops need to figure out their chemistry. We throw in Columbus, who peaked as well. They peaked last time as well. And Brooklyn's playing well, but they haven't deckled, so we don't know. So the Flash that used to be the favorite, I don't think are the favorite anymore. And they need to regroup, find that energy, and come back stronger in the playoffs. Okay, so there were a couple things I talked about on my last podcast recording. So I recorded a regular podcast. Then I did my interview with the Duper CEO. And I was planning on putting out the second part of the podcast, but I did not have time to edit it because, again, I went to Costa Rica. So just a couple things I touched on really quickly. I'm going to talk about, obviously, the Zane trade, the Zane benching, the Ben trade, and what's going on with these MLP teams. So first of all, the Zane trade. When I first heard that when he made his whole announcement that he was going to get benched and essentially chose to stay on the fives instead of going to another team where he would play, I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, why is he doing this? And his explanation about like loving the team and supporting the team and like all of this stuff to me was kind of like, I don't buy it. Like, what's going on here? Have you given up on yourself as a player? Like, what is happening? You don't want to play. You just want to sit on the bench for like a playoff season of like MLP when you're kind of making yourself an inconsequential, obsolete player. Like, we're not going to see you play. We don't often see you on championship court or anything in PPA. Like, you could at least be like on Miami, competing in the playoffs, seeing what happens. So it's like, ugh. But then, ding, 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 I had like a moment of, and saying like he just wants to be the best captain possible. Again, like, what does captain mean in MLP anyway? And like trash talk. And I'm like, what is going on with these fives? It just feels like he wants to be on the cool team. But then I had a breakthrough in my mental state. Of course, you're going to stay on the fives. I would stay on the fives. I want prize money. You are going to get prize money if you're on the fives. You're way more likely. You could even win it than you would if you're on Miami. Now, do bench players get the money too? That's a question I don't know the answer to. But if he does, of course, I'm going to pick that prize money, especially the way that the new contracts have worked out in PPA. Now, Zane has a guaranteed contract, but when it re-ups, it's going to be split over 3 years. Now, I'm not like the expert of how these negotiations work. They're much smarter people than that. Look up like a billion of Eric Tice's articles, and you'll get a much better breakdown of the contracts. But essentially, less guaranteed money, more prize money. And everyone's like, oh, this is how all sports are. This is like incentive, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're just consolidating the money to the top. In PPA, where this prize money is all going to be consolidated and offered like insanely high prizes to the people winning, great. So what are we going to see? Annalie wins so much money. Like, she's just getting richer, richer, richer. And then like, top women, top men. But essentially, like, few people are going to be making this money. So what does it say for everyone else? Honestly, it's like, you need your sponsorships. You need to be getting as much prize money as you can. You just don't have the potential of getting rich the way the best players do. So I understand why he'd want to stay on the fives and get that money. Look at what QD did as well. I mean, I think something's going to happen where it's like, you can't expect these players to keep doing it your way if they don't have potential of actually winning money, especially with fixed partners for an entire year. So that's why MLP is super important. So then I was like, I got you, Zane. Good idea. Very smart. Obviously, you can't say that. And maybe I'm wrong. This is just my opinion. This is just what I was thinking. Maybe Zane really like just has all this team spirit for the fives, loves being on the team, loves the private jets, loves the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chant, loves all that. So I support it. And maybe you don't want to switch at the end of the season to a new team. I get that too. So we will see what happens at the end of this season if he stays on the bench more. But it is kind of interesting. Like, the fives took Noe and gave them their bench player. Did they have to pay more for Noe because they weren't trading Zane? I would love to know about that too. I would love to know what those trade dynamics are, because if you're trading Zane to Miami, maybe you don't have to pay as much, or maybe Miami's like, I don't care who you give us, because Miami seems to be giving away a lot of their players. So we'll get into that. Now, the Ben trade. Of course, they extended the trade deadline, and we were like, why are they doing that? Does this mean some big trades are going to come? And then the biggest imagined trade came. Ben Johns went from the Hogs to the Mad Drops. And that kind of felt like, okay, finally the Hogs have just given up. Like, honestly, it's been like exhausting. Good for them. And they're like, oh, collusion. And honestly, like, guys, welcome to pro sports. Collusion is as common as a torn ACL. Like, everyone is colluding in every sport. And PPA has been kind of messing with the rules to help the Ben Johns, Anna Leigh Waters of the world for years. I was tracking the way they did their brackets back in the day, and they've always messed with things a little bit for their stars. I mean, hello, we can go back to nationals when Leigh tore her ACL and they made a huge exception for Catherine to be able to sign up with Anna Leigh so that she can win her Triple Crown. Okay, this is not new. So how did Ben get traded? Collusion, all this weird stuff. Now, I actually think it's better for MLP that Ben Johns is on Mad Drops in a macro way. Ben Johns is the star. He brings in eyeballs. People want to see him play. When he was on the Hogs, losing, no eyeballs on him, inconsequential, you forgot about him. And while it was, for some of us super fans, it's kind of refreshing to not talk about Ben Johns, but for the sake of the league, I guess it's like important to have their star. It's kind of like when Dottie Henson from A League of Their Own like was going to leave, and they were like, no, we can't lose our star. We need Ben Johns to be present to get those outside people interested in MLP, right? Like, oh, MLP, yeah, Ben Johns is playing. Oh, I'll watch it. Versus like, oh, PPA I watch because I see Ben Johns. Anyway, we had a situation where the best player in the world, arguably, the biggest star in the world on the men's side, was on a team that could not win. Now, did I have theories that they could have some kind of like Cinderella story miracle run and get a lot of wins and maybe make like the quarterfinals or something? Yes. And I think I was right. But that's neither here nor there because we will never find out. So Ben Johns was basically just disappearing in the crowd. Now he's moved up. And I think what we're seeing is a reckoning of top teams consolidating the best players and bottom teams disappearing. We knew when MLP started and they did this expanded teams and 6 players and challenge and premier and no relegation and the auction draft and all this stuff. We knew we had a saturation issue, okay? The reason why there's challenger and premier is because you do not want the best player to play with the worst player. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't create great matches. So we had challenger and premier. But what ended up happening with the way things shook out, you had some premier level players playing in challenger and so many teams open in premier. Also because we didn't get a lot of the players who used to play. So we have been noticing like the Brashas would have been a great addition to MLP. Even Julian Arnold would have been nice to have him in MLP, but he decided not to do it. So just things like that. So it was an issue. We had a lot of top players on teams that could never win and a lot of teams that were just there. So, you're playing the Hustlers. It's not even worth watching. You're playing the Hogs, not worth watching. Now that Ben's off, especially all of this stuff. And you have the top teams that can win, the middle teams that can't, and the lower teams that it's not even worth watching. That's not good entertainment value for anyone. So instead, we had a bunch of trades come up that basically consolidated the teams so that there were no top players left on the bottom teams. So Ben Johns moves up to the Mad Drops. We even have Millie Rain going from Miami to Squeeze. And now that might not seem that monumental, but Millie is underrated and very, very good and definitely stronger than Samantha Parker. Now, once Miami was a contender, they're still in playoff position. But once they got rid of Noe, I'm like, what are they doing? They can't compete anymore. So you know what they might as well do? They might as well also trade Millie for cash. They can't win now. Okay, they've kind of traded their talent. So I don't know what their plan is. Are they planning on disappearing? Miami's gone. This made the Squeeze stronger and the Mad Drop stronger. You have Etta going to Utah and Jeannie Arakina going down to Challenger. This made Utah stronger. We need Etta to still play. She's a premier player, and Jeannie Arakina is very good, but arguably more of a challenger player. we put Vivian Glausman on the slice. Now, in my opinion, okay, let's talk about the top teams. Shock, Flash, Mad Drops Fives, Columbus, DC, Ranchers, Squeeze, Black Diamonds. Strong players across the board. No one on any of those teams that I'm thinking that's a challenger level player, okay? Then we have Miami, Slice, Flames, kind of, all teetering there. I believe that the Slice are going to move into the playoff position now after the next week's tournament. I think they're the only team left that has premier level talent. I think James Ignatowicz and Vivian Glausman should both be playing up. I think Callie Smith, arguably, yes. And Max Freeman needs to live up to all the hype. He's an insane singles player. He played very well with Vivian Glausman. So, listen, I think that they are going to surpass Miami. And then those top 12 teams will all be very solid and consolidating. So, what I think needs to happen then. So, now we have all the best players playing each other. We don't have any of the best players being wasted. Now, the Flames, in theory, Tyson, Jesse, and Jack could all play up there. I think definitely Tyson. There aren't that many girls up there that I necessarily would switch Jesse with because of her weaknesses in singles. And then Jack Sock, again, is like the promise that didn't live through. So I don't have high hopes for the Flames. That being said, they're very entertaining. And maybe if they'd been playing Alex Walker this whole time, something different could have happened, but it didn't. So we have 12 very solid teams. I mean, maybe Jaume needs to go up. I don't know. Okay, so we have 12 solid teams. Now, what I do then is I get rid of all the other teams. I push them all down to challenger, okay? Like how it was supposed to be. We were supposed to have 12 premier teams and 12 challenger teams. And we worked it out so that there were 16 premier teams, which is too many premier teams. I could have told you that. I could have told you that was going to happen. So now we have 12 solid premier teams. But I do keep my promise for the challenger teams and bring up the top two teams. I think you only get to bring up one team, but I could see bringing up two. So we bring up the Las Vegas Night Owls, okay? And I might take Jaume, who I just got rid of his team, the Bouncers, and I might trade him for James Delgado. So now I have a team that has Pablo, Jaume, Brooke Buckner, Zoe Wong. Okay, that's not a bad team. Do I think they're beating the Fives? No. But do I think they have 4 premier level players? Yes. Then if we can bring up the chefs, and I have Eva Radikowska, and she's currently playing next to Michelle Esquivel, who I think is taking a break, and now it's Jeannie Arquino. What I do is I get Vivian David, and I put her next to Eva, and then I keep the 2 guys for now. They have Marshall Brown and Anderson Scarpa. They're a strong men's doubles team. Now, looking at that, let's say I'm like the chefs, and I'm like, I don't know about this. Do I then bring Tyson up? Do I see if Jack wants to get his shit together and come up? I don't know. Maybe I call in Tyson. You never know. Add a little bit of talent there. Add a Vivian David and a Tyson, or a Vivian David and a Jack to that lineup. Who knows what's going to happen? So that's what I do. So then at least I have 14 teams that have premier level players. Okay? So that was a lot. But I think you get my thinking is that hopefully this is what MLP has planned. Hopefully they saw that they made a big mistake not having relegation. They made a big mistake not separating premier and challenger players. It is not possible to create a good product when some teams are paying so much money for some players and some teams don't care. You're having too many throwaway games. Your list of potential winners is too small. It's too much wasted talent. So hopefully this is what's happening. Hopefully my theory and my plan is true, and we're going to go into the next season with 12 amazing teams. We'll still have the same top 4 or 5 teams, but 12 teams that can compete with each other, plus maybe 2 wild cards, and the season will just be way better than that. Okay, looking into next week, Miami, Black Diamonds, Chicago Slice, Texas Ranchers, Orlando Squeeze. The 5 bottom teams that need to compete with each other to make it. The question is, can the Chicago Slice kick out any of those teams? Can they surpass Miami? Can they surpass the Black Diamonds? Can they surpass the Squeeze? We don't know. They need a few wins, and I think they can push Miami down because I don't think Miami's going to win much next weekend. So let's look at the standings to see what the Slice need to do. Standings. Okay. So right now, the Slice have 18 points. 5 wins, 15 losses, 2 dream breaker wins or something, 18 points. And Miami has 19. So they really just have to get 1 point more than Miami. So if they go into this tournament and let's say they leave with 5 points and Miami leaves with 0, okay, they're passing Miami. I don't think they can reach the Black Diamonds. They're 5 away from them. So they're looking at Miami, and I think they will win enough to kick Miami out of the playoffs and move into that spot. So I think that will wrap out our thing. And I think with the new consolidation of Utah and the Slice and all of that and the Squeeze, I think that the playoffs will not be horrible. I mean, those top teams are still really good, but maybe we'll get some good games at least. So that is all of my thoughts about this last tournament and the future of MLP and what to think about when we're going into the next weekend. But congratulations to St. Louis Shock. You have won the regular season title. We'll see if that means you're going to win the entire thing. I will see you guys next time. I am going to do, hopefully, a big wrap-up episode, maybe have some guests on to talk about the whole season and moving into the playoffs and stuff like that. Please follow me on Instagram, Obsessed with Pickleball, and TikTok, Obsessed with Pickleball Pod. Follow this podcast, like it, share with your friends. Honestly, just stream it. I don't even care if you listen. Just like get me some views, you know? And that made me really happy. So there you go. I'll see you guys on the next one.